I need to be grateful for the fact that I've gotten this far instead of just looking forward and being a little bit bummed out that I'm not exactly where I want to be, because I have lofty goals and I know what I want, and that's a good thing. But I think it's important to be like, okay, I've made it this far. This is huge. The fact that I haven't given up is huge, because this is not an easy path to take at all.
This is Debbie, and welcome to another episode of The Offbeat Life, where I speak to inspiring individuals who ditched the norm to become location independent. We'll learn how to create sustainable laptop lifestyles from the experts that will help us achieve freedom from our 9 to 5. Welcome to the 100th episode of the Offbeat Life podcast. Oh my gosh. It's been such an honor to share so many incredible stories with all of you. You know, when I started this podcast, I really wanted to learn from all the digital nomads and independent entrepreneurs that I was meeting and hearing about. And I wanted to learn how they were able to transition and create a location independent lifestyle. I wanted to learn how to create freedom in my own life. And here I am today, 100 episodes later, a year and a half later, living the life that I only dreamed of living. And I wanted to share 2 quotes with all of you, something that really resonated with me in this whole entire journey. The first is, remember when you wanted what you currently have. Now, this quote really reminds me of all the progress that I've made, and I'm sure you've all made, and to really just be grateful for every second that we have living this messy but really beautiful life. We often take things for granted and just see things that's in front of us and don't realize what we've already accomplished. So it's a great quote to really remind us of all the progress that we've made. The second is a quote by Tim Ferris. I love him. And it's, people don't want to be millionaires. They want to experience what they believe only millions can buy. Now, this is such a brilliant quote because we often think that a lot of money can make us happy, but it's really the freedom that we want, right? And if you want to achieve that, then you just have to go for it. And if you can achieve that, and I'm sure you will, then you'll feel like a billionaire. So listeners, I hope that you're able to live a life of freedom and a life that you truly deserve. So enjoy this 100th episode as I bring back 2 of my fearless female friends, Johnny Sweet and Sierra Demler, as we talk about life transitions and just catching up in the last year of changes and gratefulness. So thank you from the bottom of my heart, and thank you for being a part of this journey with me. I hope to see you in the next 100. Hi, ladies. Welcome to our 100th episode. Okay, I'm here with Johnny and Sierra, and they both look really exciting. And Sierra just sipped on her chai tea latte, and Johnny is sick today. So
I have mint tea, nursing a cough here.
They're so nice. They actually came out and are doing this. So I wanted to do this with the both of you because you have like one of the funnest episodes that I've had, and I just wanted to chat with you guys. So this is
any excuse to hang out with Debbie.
I was gonna say,
it's fine.
Yeah,
exactly.
I'll take it. We can record it for the whole world to hear. It's fine.
We haven't talked. Well, Johnny and I did 2 episodes together, and Sharon and I did 1. And there's been so many changes that's happening between the both of you, all of our lives together, actually. And we were just talking about this before we started. I'm moving for a few months at least.
No, don't leave.
Don't leave us. How dare you?
And then Sierra moved out of New York City, and now she's in Connecticut, and Johnny's also thinking of moving, and you're always traveling, so it feels like you're always moving.
Yeah, I am always moving. I'm not leaving the city though.
Yeah.
I love my neighborhood too much. I love
Just let that
spending,
be known.
like 50% of my income on rent. It's great.
Everyone does.
And that's the thing about New York City. It's just so expensive, but it's addicting, and you can't stop yourself from living here. And
it took me 9 years to leave, so
yeah,
finally did it. But It was only because I felt like I was inching towards hating it, and then I was like, okay, I gotta go. Gotta get out.
When you hate it, you gotta leave.
You gotta leave.
You
It's
gotta
not
leave.
fair to stay.
Yeah.
To yourself or to people who love New York and need the space.
True
So,
story.
yeah.
I still don't, I'm not realizing it yet, or I don't know. I'm just kind of like, blah, oh, whatever.
It feels like a long trip for you, not exactly like a permanent move.
Yeah, it's not.
it's-
I don't
yeah.
think I'll ever permanently leave New York City like that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just crazy that this is the 100th episode, and
That is pretty nuts.
it's a year and a half now.
It's crazy.
It's
Well,
crazy.
look, here's an idea. Do you remember Megan from an earlier podcast?
Yes.
She's gone half the year and sublets her apartment. So you
Yeah.
guys can just alternate who's living in that apartment.
Yes.
There you go.
There we go.
That's
Perfect.
crazy.
Making
Yeah,
the freelance
You're a
dream right
realtor.
there.
I know. Look at this one. Always thinking. Oh my gosh.
Brain is on.
But it's so crazy how we pretty much, before we started all of this stuff, right? We were just thinking about doing. So Sierra, she does a blog. And Johnny, she's a writer. So she does a lot of writing for publications, and you do a lot of travel writing, health, and you travel a lot. And you came out from a 9 to 5 beforehand. But then you were also looking at this lifestyle and you wanted to do this. How does it feel for you guys, and you too, Sierra? Like you were doing a job. It was remote, but you also wanted to be a blogger and to
Yeah.
do this full time. Like, how does it feel for the both of you to, first of all, just think about it and think that it was just kind of like a long dream that wasn't going to happen, or it was just going to take too long? And now, looking at your life, and you're actually living what you wanted to have.
Which is crazy.
Yeah, how
a
how
little
does
nuts.
that feel for the both of you? Because sometimes, like, I just wake up and think, oh my gosh, this
How
is
did I get here?
crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. You want to go?
Yeah, I love it. I have no regrets. Doubling down this year. Yeah, I really love it. I love that I was patient with the journey, because lately I've been dealing with some late paying clients. And last time we talked about like working for a while and building up savings so that you can kind of weather those gaps in payment. And so lately I've been really grateful that I took that time, even though it was excruciating, kind of waiting and seeing my dream in the distance and having to work jobs that I really hated leading up to it. But right now I think it's bringing me a lot of success and eliminating some stress that I might otherwise have had I not taken the time to work and plan before I made the plunge.
I can come at that from the other side. I did not do that, and now I'm paying for it. So basically what happened is, like Debbie mentioned, I had a remote job for a company, a startup company, which we talked about more extensively on an earlier episode. But basically, I lost that job. The company shut down, and I was not at all ready to transition into blogging full-time or consulting or doing anything like that. And I had no plan. And I just was like, I guess I'm doing this now. Like, it kind of felt like I either needed to dive in and try it and try to make it work somehow, or it was never going to happen. Like, I could have just kept putting it off and putting it off. So we have very different experiences, and I feel like it's really tough, especially for me right now, because I'm dealing with a lot of the same things, like late paying clients or client turnover, people being like, oh, my priorities have changed. Now I need to do this, and they don't need you anymore. And, it's just like, okay. So the fluctuation of that has been really stressful. And so I wish that I had taken more time, I think. In the same vein, I feel like if I had, I may have gotten stuck in another job that I hated. Like, I don't know. It's such a catch-22, because I feel like either way, you have to be patient on one end or the other and have a lot of,
It's so true. I mean, I'm grateful that I was able to keep those jobs while I had them and put money away during that time and build my freelancing on the side.
Yeah.
But, a lot of other people are in your position where they're just kind of pushed into it and they give it a go. And I really admire the people who are able to make that work, because that's very, very difficult too.
It really is. It requires a lot of patience, a lot of flexibility, a lot of creativity, a lot of penny pinching sometimes to try to make it work. So
But you're making
Yeah.
it work.
Barely,
which is
but yeah.
good. You're surviving.
It's like some days
You're not living
I'm
on
just
the
like, how
street
is this?
yet.
I'm not. No. And I keep trying to remind myself, like, you have a car, you have an apartment, you have a nice apartment, you have the ability to, like, you have health insurance. Like, these are big things. And even if I'm barely making it some months, at least I'm, like, somehow making it.
Well, what do you need to make it work? Like, what are you missing right now, or what is, like, lacking that is making it hard?
That's a good question. I feel like what I'm sort of noticing is that my gaps are in consistency and in planning. So, like, because I took on so many clients, I just took on as many as I could, as fast as I could. Didn't really think about, like, building packages and making things make sense long term. So now I feel like I'm just sort of treading water and, like, you know, I have work, but it's not necessarily thought out and really.
So you feel like you're all over the place.
I do.
Yeah.
So I feel like I'm just
and it's
kind of
overwhelming.
chaotic sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's okay. And then other months I'm like, this is nuts. This
It's
is
the
insane.
feast or famine.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel you
That's
on
totally
that. I
it.
feel
Yeah.
you on that.
Yeah.
Like, for me, if all my
tough.
clients paid on time, I would be
Be
great.
a baller. Yeah.
Great. And most
Same.
of them do. I have to
Same.
say, thank you,
Yeah.
clients. Most of you do
No,
pay on
yeah.
time, and I love you
Same.
all.
Same.
But lately, like, a couple new clients have been really late.
Yeah.
It's, like, really screwing up my take home, even though I've been
Yeah.
working my butt off this
Right.
month.
That's the tough part is I was talking to my dad yesterday about this and he's like, how's work going? I'm like, well, I'm working my butt off, but I feel broke. So it's just that thing where, like, I'm on Mediavine, so I have to, like, wait 2 months for payments to come through from that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of delayed gratification in this job. There's a lot of, like, wait for this to happen, wait for that to happen, and, like, you're not going to see the money for a while.
Yeah.
So it's difficult to be patient.
I feel, and even
Yeah.
when I, like, submit an article, honestly, I send that article into the editor, and if he or she is happy with it, I don't think about it again, unless for some
Right.
reason I'm particularly excited about that article. But that's maybe like 1 in 10 that I write. And
Yeah.
last year I wrote over 300 articles. so
my gosh.
yeah.
most of
Girl.
them I'm like excited about it while I'm doing it. And then
Yeah.
once I've submitted it, great, it's gone. And they don't tell me when it goes live. So sources come to me and they're like, hey,
Right.
when is this article going up? And it really disrupts my flow because
Yeah.
honestly, I don't know. Like, it could be it could be tomorrow, it could be 6 months from now. I have
Right.
no idea, and I don't have the mental capacity or the
Yeah.
time during my day to be checking in on this all the time.
Yes.
But
There's a
there,
lot
yeah,
of-
there is a
yeah.
lot of delayed gratification.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of uncertainties with a lot of things.
A lot.
So that's really one of the things too that most people who don't know any types of industries where you're a freelancer or you're an entrepreneur and you're in charge of your own thing, that's why sometimes there's a lot of people that are better off with a secure 9 to 5 and then
Yeah.
just doing something on the side, because thank God for you, Sierra, you didn't have a family to support, you're single, and you didn't have that added stress. But then if you have other things that you're in charge of, it's so much harder to go into this industry.
Oh, yeah.
Unless you're making plenty of money, you have a lot of savings, you have another partner who's able to help you while you're doing the transition. Because like you said, there's a lot of late payments. There's a lot of people that sometimes don't pay you at all, and you have to like track them down.
Yeah, fun.
Yeah.
I didn't realize I was turning into a bill collector, but
Me either. Didn't
add
sign
that
up for
to my
that.
list of skills.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
And then there's so many things that happens in between, not just with work, but also your personal life that could
Yeah.
also make everything change. So having, right,
This girl,
having security,
health issues
health
and, like,
issues.
Yeah,
surgeries
th- this past month was the first time I've taken sick days in like the past year and change.
Yeah.
I took 2 sick days, and even then I worked both days.
Yeah.
But I emailed my clients and I said, hey, you're probably not going to get the work I owe you today. I'm really sorry. I'm having a sick day. And I have to, you know, give it to my clients. They were so supportive and so kind, just saying, I hope you get better, take your time. But I felt so guilty, and I don't want them to go to another writer in the future who's more
Right.
reliable. I'm very, very, very reliable, but my body failed me this month, and
Yeah.
it's really hard to say I'm sick and I really can't do this today. It's like really hard to say that.
I've had to learn that because I have plenty of health issues. Like, I just feel like especially since last fall, I've just had thing after thing. And in January, I had 2 emergency surgeries while I was traveling, which obviously I didn't plan for, that basically knocked me out of commission for like a month. Like, so I was still working from bed, but on painkillers and like, trying to be a coherent person and do good work and all that stuff is tough when you're recovering. And you can't force it. I mean, your body takes its time. So it's really tricky to feel that pressure. And I feel that all the time. I feel like I have to stay up. I mean, like last night, I slept for like 2.5 hours. I mean, that's
I have
not
nights like
good,
that,
but
pretty right. Like I don't compromise my sleep that much, but I will sometimes. And mostly what for me, like what gets compromised is my self-care. And they always say that that's the first thing that goes. And it starts with, okay, I don't have time to exercise, so let's cut that. And then it's like, I don't have time to eat. I don't have time to make healthy food. Let me just order whatever again. And then you get sick, and it's just like a bad cycle.
I know.
I'm definitely paying for that now, and I'll work till like midnight. Even when I'm working till midnight, I still say, like, I don't want to do anything else. I'm so happy doing this.
Right,
but
me too.
Your self-care is an investment in your ability to do your job. So
I think that's the key that a lot of people miss is you can't work yourself to death because you're the only person who's able to do the work you're doing, that you're contracted to do, that you're planning to do, that people are expecting of you. They need you. They don't need, 20 other people doing a similar thing. Like,
and there's 20 other people who are waiting to do what you're doing.
So it's like if you don't do it, then you're screwed. But also you got to take care of yourself.
It's also when we talk about boundaries with other people, we also need boundaries with ourselves.
Yeah.
Because you need to have that boundary where you're working too much and you're not taking care of yourself. And then all of a sudden you get even sicker because you're working too much and you're not getting enough sleep and you're worrying too much. But then it's also stress because you feel like you're not working enough. How are you going to pay the bills? It becomes a cycle. But if you don't take care of yourself, it just becomes so much worse. And that's so important. And I think because, like you guys said, you're in charge of your own business and you're the only person that could do that. By the way, I keep telling Sierra to outsource a lot of stuff.
And I'm such a control freak.
I can't outsource anything. I admire you for doing that, and I would love to, but I look at like what I have to do, and I'm like, I'm the only one that can do this.
Yeah, that's how I feel too. It's kind of like mom syndrome, when moms are like, I'll just do it myself, it's fine. Yeah. Like, you can't do it the way I do it. Like, I'll do it.
It's the perfectionist in you.
I know it's an investment in training somebody, right? To train them to do, like, smaller tasks, but I don't even want to teach somebody.
No.
I hate it. I hate
it just seems like it'd be easier. Oh, yeah, me too. Yeah. I'm like, I would rather just do it myself.
Guys, you're missing out. Okay, so honestly, it's the best thing because for me, what I do is I actually create videos on Outlook and I voice record everything so that when I tell them to do something, I don't need to sit there and explain everything. I just record everything, send them the video. If they have questions, fine. But everything they need to do is video recorded. So I don't have to teach it over and over again if they need to go back. And then if I lose one of my assistants, I just send all of those videos to the person.
Yeah.
I'm telling you,
that is so smart.
Much. Well, also the fact that now I have an editor for my podcast, I have writers for my website, I also have someone who's like an assistant that helps so much.
Yeah.
I can take like all of those hours that I used to do just for a lot of editing and back end stuff. Now I have more time to actually create packages, to make more money, to do more collaborations, to think about
more big
growth.
Picture stuff.
Yeah, more big picture stuff. So I definitely, it's really hard in the beginning because you have to set a system for all of that. But once you do, like I know Sierra and you too, Johnny, like, well, it's not easy to find someone, but you can't always have that person, right? Because they're going to go on to bigger, better things if they're your assistant or someone who works for you. But if you have a system you created already, it becomes easier because then it's already set in place and in motion for you to do. And then it helps you a lot.
So I do think about it. Like one area that an assistant would help. I have a couple areas that an assistant could help me. One is invoicing, but honestly, it takes me spending maybe half an hour a week, 45 minutes a week doing invoicing. It's so little that I should
Not
just
really
do
worth
it myself. The other area is like helping find sources, because some articles I might need one source, some I might need 5, and I'll put out a request on Harrow. Harrow is called Help a Reporter Out, and it connects journalists with sources from all around the world. I'll submit a post on Harrow that says like, oh, I'm looking for sources to offer health tips while traveling. Like, please send me 3 tips and your credentials. And then I'll get responses from anywhere from 10 to 150 people.
Wow.
And it would be helpful to have somebody kind of weed out the bad ones. But part of it is like, when I'm reading it, I get other story ideas as I'm going through those responses. So even though it's like not a great use of my time for that assignment, it is kind of a good use of my time for the future.
Yeah.
And I make new connections that way. And I don't think an assistant would be able to discern between stuff that I really, really, really do not need to read and stuff that like I might actually want to read.
What if you have somebody do that for you, but keep all of the emails that you got? Because when you do have the time, you could read through it, but when you're in a deadline, it'll be faster for you if somebody actually looks through it. So it's not like you're deleting the responses. You could still look at them. But then when you have a deadline set and you need something really fast, you have someone to give you that assistance.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Like, I'd love to get like a paid intern, less of like a virtual personal assistant and more like a journalism student who kind of already has a very keen sense of what to look for, and I could pay them a small amount.
Yeah.
That might help streamline.
There you go.
If anyone's listening, send me an email.
Yes. Johnny, you could send an email to Johnny if you want to be her intern. If you're
Paid intern.
Well, yeah, that's the key too.
That's
Is
the key.
I was an intern for many years at record labels, and the music industry is a very intense place to be an intern. And I was an unpaid intern for most of that time. So I have very, very strict sort of I don't know.
you have feelings.
I have a lot of feelings about how people get paid and how much, and like
Me
people
too.
being fairly compensated and stuff. So I'm very hesitant to outsource stuff because I feel like I would feel weird not paying someone really, really well.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like there's a balance.
You
to
know
all
what
of
I
that.
do with that? Every time I hire someone, I ask them what they want to get paid. So that I know that I'm not taking advantage of them, and I know what they feel like they're worth it. If it's too much, then I'll try to negotiate it. If I feel like it's worth it, then I go with it. But usually I give them the money that they ask for in the beginning. So that could be like a good way for you to know that what you're paying them is worth it. And also, you know, like the industry standard, if it's here in the United States or if it's outside and you're outsourcing. So then you already know what to expect. Like, you're not going to pay somebody $50 an hour if you're hiring from like a really like a third world country, unless like it's a really huge job that would pay like 100, you know, here. But it's good to know to always ask them first what they want to get paid, because then you're not feeling like you're cheating somebody out of the money, because that's what they want.
Yeah, that's smart.
good
That's a
point.
really good way of doing it.
Yeah. I was going to go back to what you said about finding ideas while you're doing like research and stuff and looking for sources. I feel like that sort of, the equivalent of that for me is doing like SEO keyword research and stuff. So when I'm doing that, I get so many ideas for things. And the idea of relinquishing that to somebody else who's not going to look at it the same way that I do and not going to have the same thoughts like, oh, I have a post that this would do great, you know, linking to, and this would be a great like cornerstone content piece for me, whatever. That scares me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
even
like-
though that might be one of the easier things skill wise, and you know, it doesn't require a lot of like back end, or I mean a lot of like extra knowledge about your personal business to do that work, but it's a really like key component of how you get ideas.
Yeah. So I get that. I totally get that. It's tough. And I think if you are the type of person who is very, I don't know, just likes to do things a certain way and has a system
Type
and
A.
a little type A. Okay, I'll self-diagnose myself. It's fine. Yeah, it's tough.
It's hard. Tough. I've spoken to a lot of people about it, right? Especially for someone who's very type A, very creative, and they know what they want. And it's hard to relinquish that because it's like a superpower that you have, and for you to give that up. But it's also, you have to think about it in a way where how much of this actually allows your business to grow. So you also have to think about what you want in the long run, right? Because if you are looking at all of the little things and you're so caught up with all of those things, then it's going to be harder to grow. Now, if you feel like where you are right now is perfect, like that's what you want, then that's fine. But then if you want to keep growing and you want to do other things with your business and you want to add on other things to it, then it's going to be really hard as one person because it's already overwhelming for you to do that by yourself, and then just keep adding more stuff and more stuff to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get that for sure. I'm in it right now. I'm really in it. We both, Johnny and I are very similar. I can tell. Yeah, we're both so just hard. Like, we can't.
It is. It's really hard to do.
Yeah.
But
it's important to learn how to delegate for sure.
And it requires you to be way more organized if you're going to delegate. Because another area that I could outsource is like, all right, I used to be so good about when an article came out and send it to all the sources and write a thank you note and all of this. And now that part is falling behind because it doesn't bring me any more income. It just takes up like time during my day, and I also don't know when my articles get posted.
Right. So it takes a lot of
and
follow-up.
I feel bad that like my sources who gave the time aren't getting their reward. So I'd love to outsource that, but that requires me to organize my address book
right
in Gmail, and that address book is a hot mess.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Well, maybe it'll force you to do that, and it'll be good in the long run, to think about the long run. I know it's really hard to do that, but it's, you have to balance it and see what works for you and what doesn't, and what tasks you can actually outsource and what tasks you can't. And in the beginning, that's really hard to do because you have to pay someone, and if you're not making money, God, no, don't do that yet. And also, if you don't know how to run your business and you don't know how to do all of those tasks, then you're going to be in trouble later on. So God forbid your assistant just leaves, an editor leaves, and you don't know how to do any of that, then you're screwed.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
in the beginning, I would definitely say learn all of those tasks. Make sure that you know how to do it. And also when you're hiring someone, if you're interviewing them, you know who is knowledgeable and who isn't, because you already know what they're going to do for your business. So if they're just like BSing you, you can definitely spot that super quickly.
Yeah.
If you don't know what you're doing and somebody's just giving you gibberish, you'd be like, okay, cool, I don't know.
That's true. Yeah.
That's very true. Yeah, I think being educated about your own industry and staying on top of things, staying on top of trends, staying on top of news, like these things are important for sure. It's very valuable. Yeah.
So let's look at everything that's been happening to you since you started this, because I'm kind of reminiscing the 100th episode, like all of the people I spoke to, all of the changes that has been happening. What are you guys really most grateful about? Because, I'm looking at all of this and everyone I've spoken to, there's so many things that we talk about that's really struggles that we go through. There's also so many things that I feel so grateful for. I mean, just meeting you guys, like in this industry, that is something that I'm so grateful for, because I've learned so much from all of you and all of the people really that I've spoken to. And it really forms who I am as an entrepreneur, as a businesswoman, and as a person as well, to create these friendships and just learning from everybody. And it makes you so grateful to be doing what you're doing when you're surrounded by so many incredible people. What about you guys? Like, what is the thing that you're so grateful?
Oh my gosh. Well, yeah, I think you kind of took mine, which is the people probably, but also even beyond the people that I've met and the friends that I've made and the connections that I've grown, all of that has helped me keep going when I felt like I could not or did not want to, because everyone's been so supportive, and like you and our whole friend group, they've been fantastic. If I have questions about blogging or questions about monetization or SEO or whatever, I have people to go to for all these different things, and that's huge. Facebook groups have been amazing. The community that I've found like within those has been great. But I would say overall, I think what I'm most grateful for is my own stamina, which sounds so like cocky, but I think I've just learned that I'm way more determined and resilient than I thought I was. And that's been really huge. Realizing that has been huge because it's affected other parts of my life as well. So when people come to me and they're like, oh, you're doing such a great job. How are you doing this? What are you doing? I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know. People ask me all the time. And I'm like, I really don't know what to tell you. I'm just doing it. I realize that there's a certain gratitude I need to have for that just on its own. The fact that I'm continuing to try to figure this out, that it's working. I'm somehow feeding myself, clothing myself, housing myself, paying for my own insurance, like all of these things. I need to be grateful for the fact that I've gotten this far instead of just looking forward and being a little bit bummed out that I'm not exactly where I want to be, because I have lofty goals and I know what I want, and that's a good thing. But I think it's important to be like, okay, I've made it this far. This is huge. The fact that I haven't given up is huge, because this is not an easy path to take at all.
No.
It's so great that you can acknowledge that too. Like so many of us just kind of beat ourselves up.
Yeah. And I do plenty of that.
Yeah, we all do, right? I appreciate that you said that.
Yeah.
You're thankful for one of your own qualities, one of your own traits.
Which is hard for me because any friend will tell you I am not the type of person to toot my own horn, but I will toot it here. I'm tooting.
As you should, girl. As you should.
Just briefly. But yeah, I don't know. What about you?
I'm grateful for a lot. I think the biggest thing I'm grateful for is my independence. I don't need to rely on a boss. I am my boss.
Yep.
I love
boss lady, right?
For better or for
boss
worse.
Lady.
Yeah.
I'm grateful for my independence and my freedom. Like I can choose where in the world I want to work. I can choose when I do my work. You know, if I want to spend the morning recording a podcast and push my work till later in the day, I can do that. Whereas when you work on 9 to 5, you don't have that flexibility, and that was really stifling for me. So I'm really grateful to have that now.
Yeah.
I'm also grateful for all the travel opportunities this freedom has allowed me to take. Those opportunities were always there for me, but now that I've been taking them, there's more of them popping up, and I'm able to travel as much or as little as I want. Most months I do 2 to 3 trips, but this past April I took the whole month off and stayed home the whole time, and that's been really lovely too, and it makes me really appreciate what you have at home. So I like having that, ebb and flow of going places and appreciating home as well.
Me too.
And then the third thing I'm grateful for is the ability to pursue all these fascinating stories. I'm working on an article right now about what it's like to travel when you have a disability, and reporting on disability rights has been really important for me in my career. That's something I write about every year, and I love hearing inspiring stories and writing about it. So, some of the work I do is like branded content, and it's kind of advertising, and that's less exciting for me. You won't really see me sharing it, but it pays. And then it also allows me to do the work that I find really meaningful that I do share. And, I love that I can have that balance now.
I would agree with that too. The freedom thing is huge.
Yeah.
And also for someone that I was homeschooled. Something about me. Little homeschooled weirdo over here. And so I have always had to be really self-motivated and had to be really independent and organized in a certain fashion. And so I think that has carried over into the fact that I don't want to work for somebody else. I really don't. I did for years, but I also did a lot of sort of independent work where I was nannying or working at labels or what, just kind of different styles of work. But now I'm I really don't ever want to work for anybody ever again. And I really like having that control and also freedom. It's both.
It requires so much discipline, but I love it. I love that I'm the one deciding, no, you really need to be at your desk 10 hours today.
Right.
I find value in the fact that I can make that decision for myself, and some boss isn't telling me.
Right. Because you want to do it more if it's something that you're feeling like
It's what you want.
Is what is going to get you closer
and
to
you
what
understand why that 10-hour day exists. You
Yeah.
understand, like, oh my God, work really picked up this month. Like,
Right.
I have 3 new clients. I really need to do this. Whereas if you're working at a big organization, sometimes it's just happens, you know.
Yeah.
They throw a project on you, like, you need to get this done by this day, and you go, okay, great, I have this many hours in a day, I better work longer.
Yeah.
And you don't really understand, or nobody really explains to you how this benefits the entire organization and then ultimately benefits you. Like, are you getting a bonus at the end of this busy month?
Right,
Probably
right.
not, but
Yeah.
when you're freelance, you do. Like, the more I work, the more I make.
Right. That's like a dangerous thing for me, which I'm sure it is for a lot of people, because I'm like, I can make as much money as I want, which is, I mean, that sounds a little cocky. It's not necessarily true, but to an extent, I mean, like, I can do as much work as I want to and bring in as much as I want to.
But you won't get any sleep.
But I won't sleep.
Like, at some point,
So-
your sleep is more valuable
yeah,
than
it's
the work.
like, well, I guess I gotta sleep too. And I do really value my sleep, and like taking care of myself is something that I've been working really hard on this past like year, just because my body was like, I'm gonna shut down on you if you don't if you don't slow down.
Yeah.
So I think that it's a double-edged sword, because you're like,
It
I
is.
can do as much as I want, but also I can't physically do as much as I want. So you feel like you're always you always have a pile.
Working.
Of
There's
things
always
to do.
something. There's never a time in your day where
You're like, I'm done clocking out. Yeah, it's like, no, I'm checking my phone, I'm checking the
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
so interesting, like, even now when I have other people to help me with things, I always find something more to do.
Oh yeah.
And then that's the thing, it's like, yes, all of that stuff is getting done by someone else, but now you have more time for more ideas, and then you put more work on yourself, which is really horrible, but
Well,
whatever.
and if you're making the investment in somebody else, you want that investment to pay off for you. So you
Yeah.
invest that time in your own business.
That's true.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's so good to hear all of these things from you guys, because I think even for us, when we're doing this now and you're doing it full time, it's hard to kind of step back and really appreciate all of the work that you've been doing and the success that you created for yourself. And it's really hard. I mean, this lifestyle is not for everybody. And I think there's a lot of people that go into this and go back to their 9 to 5, which is, it's fine. Like, if that happened to you, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that at all, but it's just having the courage to actually go into this and seeing if it's something that is for you. Then that takes a lot of balls.
Yeah.
And then to go back, because it's not the lifestyle, but which is fine, but it's just really appreciating yourself and valuing how much you've done and the hard work that it takes to make this work, which is really interesting to me, and also more appreciative of myself and of other people who have been doing this and who have made it really successful. And also not looking at everybody's life and thinking, oh my gosh, comparing yourself, because we do that a lot, but then we also don't know how much work they put into it.
And you don't know what they're going home to. You don't know what their
Yes.
personal life is like, their health, their XYZ. So that's a huge thing that I've learned in the past.
Yeah,
year
that's
and a half.
that. I've been like sort of taking a step away from some social media, like any social media I'm not using for work. I've been putting it on the back burner, not totally neglecting it. I'll post sometimes, but I haven't been posting that much because lately I've been feeling like it's really fake.
Yeah.
And
It
it
is.
creates a lot of comparison, and I worry that I'm feeding into that by
Yeah.
posting. You know, if I take 1,000 photos over 2 months and I only post one, that's like the best image over 2 months.
It's your highlight reel.
It's
for
my
sure.
highlight reel, and
Yeah.
I feel bad. Like, I feel like
Yeah.
I'm making other people feel bad about their own lives.
Yeah.
So I've kind of been stepping away.
I totally get that. I feel like if Instagram wasn't a part of my brand and business, I would not do it as much.
Me too.
And I really I've stepped back a lot. I used to post
as
all
well.
the time, but now I'm lucky if I post like once a week.
Yeah.
And I don't care about the algorithm. I don't care
me
if
too.
Instagram's punishing me for not posting every day. You know, it's
Wait,
like,
is that something that people worry about?
Yeah.
Is that a thing?
yeah, it's a real thing.
See, I don't
If you-
even know. I read this article about all these, the comment pods and the ways that people kind of hack Instagram, where it just felt even less authentic than it had been feeling already. I'm just like, you know what? I don't really
It's
care.
tricky because
I don't care about this.
Well, and it's like if it's a part of your
Business.
brand and your business, you get frustrated and you're like,
That-
oh, I guess I
that's
have
so
to feed
true.
into this now.
If it's part of your business, you have to. Yeah.
Right. But then it's like you feel skeezy and weird sometimes, like Yeah, that's a whole other topic for another day.
It's a whole other topic. It's true, and I actually created stories the other day. I was talking about how people will look at all of our curated images on Instagram and they think that that's what's the real thing, and it's not. You know, there's so many things happening. There's so many ups and downs in your life.
Yeah.
But obviously, you want to put your best foot forward when you're sharing images.
Right.
Like, you don't want depressed images of yourself because
I'm
that's
not gonna post something. You know, like I'm not gonna put up a picture of me sitting on my couch with no makeup in my pajamas, just like with Netflix on in the background, working for like 14 hours straight.
Even though that's your daily reality.
Even though that's it.
That's
Even
the
though that's
reality.
it. Yeah, it's like when I post a picture of me traveling and people are like, "Oh my gosh, what an amazing life you have." I'm like, "This is 0.0% of my life." And I try to be really honest about that. Like in my captions, I'm really honest. In my stories, I'm really honest.
Yeah.
And I talk a lot about like mental health, my own mental health, and like how important it is to like take care of yourself. And I think that I've had to find that balance of making sure that I don't curate everything and making sure that I feel like
more
I can share honest,
and
vulnerable stuff. Yeah.
And other, because honestly, when I start posting those things, I think that's really what gets people the
Yeah, because
most.
they can connect to that.
Yeah, and they really appreciate that. But also, it's kind of a big balance, right? Because if you don't show the best images, they won't come. But then they also want like you to be vulnerable and tell them the truth. But then they also don't want like the bad images.
No.
That's the reality. So you kind of have to put both in there. So stories will help with the more reality stuff and your captions, but then your images still have to look good.
But see, even this is feeling so formulaic to me.
Yeah, and it
that,
is.
Like,
it totally is.
It turns me off.
Yeah.
It turns me off.
Anyone with a brain.
And that's why I'm glad that like I used to want that.
Yeah.
I used to want the big following and all of that. Now I just...
You got it good because you don't need to be worried about that, and you're still traveling. A lot of people want what you have, but without... Like, the work that you do is actually good rather than this stuff, which most of it is curated and fake.
Although
like,
I do get jealous of the influencers I go on press trips with, because I'm like, oh, when you are done with the trip, you're done.
Yeah.
I have to spend like months writing stories, pitching them.
Yeah.
So I am envious in that way.
I know.
I will admit it.
Me too.
But
and I feel like Instagram is the one thing that attracts brands or press or whatever to you. And then you show them what your value is through
other
your work.
content that you
for
have.
me, like my blog or whatever, stuff that I actually care about.
Yeah.
But I do care about Instagram still as much as I hate it.
It's a love-hate relationship,
it's a love-hate
honestly,
thing
for all of us.
Yeah, because I was on Instagram as a personal user, for a lot of years. I think since the beginning of Instagram, I've been on there. And I didn't delete my old photos when I switched over to a business account. So if you scroll back, there's pictures of like my hand or like a spoon or something, and I'm like, what was I thinking?
The
like,
reality.
But it's like, if you scroll back, it starts getting more and more real. So nobody scroll back on my Instagram, please. But like, I think that it's really important to find the balance and all that. But it's part of a business. It's part of a brand. If you choose to make it that way, or if that's what you've started down the path of doing, which I kind of have.
I mean, we're hating on it, but I do still love it because honestly, it brought me to a lot of you guys, and
it's a valuable platform.
Yeah, and that's really what I want to take out of it, all the relationships. And I make money from Instagram. So I'm
if
so
you're making money from it,
right.
I mean, not, like you create income from that. You make friendships. Like, those are the biggest takeaways that you have. And like what we have now in our fingertips because of that platform is just really incredible. So I'm so grateful for that.
Yeah.
Oh my God, guys, thank you so much for joining me. This
Thank
is
you
the
for having
100th episode.
I can't believe it's 100.
This is crazy.
I remember when you started and you were like, I guess I'm doing this. And you just kept getting more and more dedicated and more strategic about it. And I'm like, so proud of you.
My whole life. I don't know.
Wait, before we leave, what is your plan for the next 100?
Girl,
for the next, honestly, I'm the type of person that just like, I'm not a big planner and I just kind of take where life takes me. I know that's why Sierra and I travel really well together because she plans everything and I'm just a go with the flow.
She's along for the ride.
Yeah, type person.
But I wish I were more like you, so I get it.
I I mean, I guess for me, it's just really growing, and I'm really obsessed with marketing. So that's why I'm so thankful that I have other people to like implement it for me, because I have a lot of ideas of where I want to take my business, and really just to highlight more people and just to keep growing wherever it is, like my reach and meeting more incredible people, and also just keep growing as a person too. So that's
I have a question for you.
yes.
If you could take one of your podcast episodes
Yeah.
and bury it in the desert
Oh my gosh.
for the future, like
Oh,
after the
love
apocalypse hits, which one would it be and why? Like time capsule, like it's the
Like
only
a
thing you'll be
good
remembered
thing?
for. Yeah, the one that you're most proud of.
It was my episode, right?
Yeah, it was definitely Johnny.
Both of yours.
Nope, you can only pick one.
Okay, so I would probably say the 1 year episode, because it was the live one.
That one was fun.
I love that one.
Yeah.
So it was really fun experience for me, because I've never done a live episode before with other people actually there, like listening and asking questions. So that was a really interesting, and also that was something that I would like, I still remember till probably forever, because I got to meet my listeners. Like, it was crazy. That was the most craziest thing. And you know, when you're talking like this, you don't actually think people are gonna listen to it,
It's
and
like
then
you're talking into a void.
yeah, it's like
yeah.
a void.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, and it wasn't even a lot of planning. I think I like told people 2 weeks before, so which is not a
Yeah.
lot of time. And people showed up, and I was like, who
Yeah.
are you? Oh my gosh, this is crazy. You actually listen to us talk? This is nuts. So that's probably one of my favorite ones because of that. Like, I got to meet my listeners, and they asked questions. So it was pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Love it.
Yeah.
Time capsule it.
There it is. Yeah.
And your episodes.
Of course.
That's why you're here. That's why you're in the 100th
I am
episode.
pretty honored that we're here for the 100th
I am
episode.
too.
Like, thanks, girl.
Debbie was like, you want to do the 100th meet? Hell yeah.
Yeah, I was like, all right, of course. So I want to sit and talk.
I know.
for
Well,
you.
people still talk to me about your episodes too. So I'm like, I
That's
gotta get
funny.
these 2 girls back, because
They're
they're
just
amazing.
so fun. So smart.
Okay, so now if they want to know more about you, because obviously they haven't learned enough, Johnny, where can they find you?
Check out my website, johnnymsweet.com. I'm sure Debbie will put it in the show notes.
Yeah, and mine is passportvoyager.com. I did not create the name. My friend Calsey did. Thanks, Calsey. Pages of Travel. Go check them out. But yeah, I'm terrible at naming things. So
Yeah, I was on that message.
You
when
were,
she,
yeah.
Yeah. So we were like, perfect, done. That's
Yeah.
it.
I love that name.
it's,
Yeah.
you know, it
It's a
is
good
what
name.
it is. It is what it is. Everyone has the word passport and Voyager in their
It's a good combination.
Instagram handle, but it's
Aw.
fine. I'm here for it.
Thank you guys so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you,
I
Debbie.
really appreciate it.
We
Look
love
at them.
you.
They're the best. So make sure you check them
Also,
out.
just so you know where we are, we're in like the basement of like
A
a
cafe.
nighttime wine bar cafe place, and we're the only people in here. So
And we're not going to tell you
We're not
where it
gonna
is.
tell
yeah, we're not
you.
gonna tell you where, but
It's a hidden secret.
It's in New York, and you'll never find it.
If you want us, check it out. Set up a meeting with me.
Yeah.
Because this is where I take all my meetings.
Exactly. Make sure it's legit. She's not going to show up if it's not legit.
No, I
yeah,
won't.
No.
So, for everybody listening, thank you so much for being a part of this journey. 100 episodes, probably a little bit more, because I probably didn't number some of the episodes that I've done. But this has been such an honor to be able to do this, and to be able to speak to so many incredible people, to do this platform, and to be listened and to be heard. And honestly, when I began this, it was just to do what we're doing now, because I wasn't a digital nomad. I wasn't location independent before. And then for the 100th episode, and to say that I'm actually doing what I sought out to do, and I've learned so much, is such a huge thing for me. And for you guys to be a part of this is even better. It's like the cherry on top of a really big cake, which is amazing.
And you're crushing it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Very proud.
thank you guys for listening, for putting up with me and my voice for this long.
It's a beautiful voice. We love it.
I love
Good,
it.
I'm glad. And yeah, so here's to another 100 episode. Hopefully more.
Wild.
Thanks,
Oh, yeah.
ladies.
Definitely more.
1,000
Maybe
more.
1,000
Yeah.
or more.
Yeah.
Thanks, Debbie.
Thanks,
for having
girls.
us. Bye.
I hope you enjoyed this 100th episode of the Offbeat Life podcast. make sure to visit theoffbeatlife.com. Again, that's theoffbeatlife.com to catch up on all of the previous episodes that you haven't heard before. I'll talk to you soon.